Hi, it's the Uplift with Vision. I'm Reverend Patti Paris. I am just so happy that you've tuned in today. It's a wonderful day to get together. Well, every day is a wonderful day to get together, isn't it? So we're going to get into it. We're going to talk all about the law. I'm calling today Fine Print Friday because it is about the law, but we're going to be talking spiritual law. But first, let's pray in. I give great thanks for this day. It's bubbling up in us, isn't it? The energy which is God. And it is absolutely transforming our lives with this practical spirituality. It is creating us anew every moment of every day. And so we know as we awaken more and more to this spiritual energy, that is us. That we know that we can direct it for specific purposes. We know we can change the conditions of our lives by that repetitive thought, by that passion and that purpose that flows through us, by the correct use of law. And so I give great thanks for this time spent together. I know it is all God. It is all good. I know that we do wonderful work together. This is uplifting. This is loving. This is joyous. And I just let it be. And so it is. Amen. So, good afternoon. Like I said, I'm calling this Fine Print Friday because we are talking about the law. And you know, I started back on Wednesday talking to you about the book, The Gentle Art of Blessing. And one of the things that he says in the book is that the reason why blessing and cursing not work so well is because it aligns us with spiritual laws that absolutely govern our lives. And Ernest Holmes said this. I believe it was in the textbook. He said, law controls absolutely everything, but we are not as apt to realize that the law itself is an effect. Did you ever stop to think that not only is the planet an effect, that is, the planet did not make itself, it is an effect. When you do, you'll see it is governed by law. Made by law. But the law which governs the planet is also an effect. The law did not make itself. The law is not intelligence as causation. It is the result of intelligence as causation. So we're talking about the way it works, not the thing itself. So you can understand the thing itself, God, Spirit, all there is, right? And so the law is absolutely an aspect of all there is, but it is the servant, right? It is the thing which makes the love pointing the way possible toward manifestation. And the way it does it is through these divine spiritual laws. And we are subject to those spiritual laws, just like anything else in the manifest universe. Just like we're subject to physical laws, we are as well subject to spiritual laws. And we know this. We know a lot of them. We can bring them to mind all the time, right? The law of attraction, the law of karma, the law of cause and effect, blah, blah, blah. But what we're doing is we're kind of getting into it a little more to understand why these laws are guiding and directing us to bless. Right? To only bless, do nothing else but bless all the time. And so the first law I want to talk about is the law of oneness, which is also our core concept one in the science of mind and spirit, right? Core concept one, God is all there is. Well, this idea of the law of oneness states that there is this foundation, which is a solid, unified foundation of everything, that there is only one. There is only spirit. You can call it God, you can call it Allah, you can call it first cause or higher intelligence or a volition or Bob. I like to call God Bob every now and then to get real familiar, if you will. You know, call it what you will. What we know is that everything proceeds from the one thing. That all of the diversity of all life everywhere in the universe proceeds from the one thing. Physicists call it energy, right? We know that energy is the basis of everything. Everything in form or out of form. Molecules of air and this chair I'm sitting on. Everything is made of energy. Our very bodies are just an energetic. We're potential, right? We're vibrating at a particular level that makes us look solid. But everything in the universe is energy. We can call that the one. Whatever you want to call it. Understand this law of divine oneness states there's only one. There is only one. And everything issues forth from that. So that is one of the reasons why we bless and curse not, because if there's only one, that means that you and I are the same one, right? You and I and the other guy, all of us, we're just aspects of the one, just like the different organs of your body are different, but they're all supporting the one. They all come from the one. They're all within us, right? Same thing. There's only one. There's only one of us. I can't curse my liver, but bless my kidneys and expect health, right? Same thing. We are one. We are one at the source. And so then, okay, so then the next one is this law of vibration, right? Everything resonates at a particular level. And the law of vibration states that every particle in the universe is in motion. Everything is in dynamic motion. And we know this because we know spirit is forever taking on form and abandoning form. We know this because energy converts all the time, doesn't it? It is this, and then it becomes that. A seed becomes a plant, becomes a sprout, becomes a tree, becomes fruit, right? The tree becomes wood, the wood becomes furniture, the furniture becomes kindling. The kindling becomes fire, the fire becomes ash, the ash goes back into the ground to support more growth. We know that energy just converts from one thing to another, but it's not lost, right? Energy neither loses, it does, we don't lose it, we don't make more. All it does is it transforms. But each thing resonates at its own vibrational level. Everything has a specific energy vibration. And higher energy particles are naturally attuned to other higher energy particles. As we go up the scale of happiness, right, we actually vibrate at higher levels. We know that as we pray, that vibrational energy is higher. So everything has its own vibrational energy, and it will be attracted to like vibrations. So again, if your goal is to live a happy, fully self-expressed life, it is in our best interest to raise our vibrational energies. And how we do that is through prayer, through meditation, through our spiritual practices. Yeah, and I wanted to say this. Nikola Tesla said this. He said, if you want to find the secrets of the universe, think in terms of energy, frequency, and vibration. So you knew this way back then. Everything vibrates. Everything is in potential. Everything is moving. Third law I want to talk about is the law of correspondence. The law of correspondence is directly related, right, to the law of divine oneness. You know, the key here is that patterns repeat themselves. The law of correspondence is these like things repeat throughout the universe. We can think of the patterns in shells and the Fibonacci sequence, things like that, where you have these repetitive patterns on the microscopic scale and of course in the macro as well. Spiral patterns which appear on a snail shell also repeat in galaxies, in the smallest and the largest. So these patterns of correspondence repeat and repeat and repeat. And if you take that into your own life, you can begin to see where maybe patterns in your own life are repeating, right? For good or for negative. But you can identify these patterns in your own life and heal them if they are outpicturings that you're outgrown, right? If you've outgrown that and you're like, I'm done recreating the same thing over and over and over again with monotonous regularity, as Ernest Holmes said, then it's time to create something new, to interrupt those patterns and create a new energy of correspondence. You know, the next law I want to talk about is a law of attraction. We know we've all heard about that one. I know we're all really, really familiar. The movie The Secret, yada, yada, you know, all that kind of stuff. Like attracts like, which never really made sense to me because really opposites attract, right? I know that, you know, the polar opposites, the magnets, the two ends of the magnets, really you can't stick the like and the like together, right? The positive and the positive poles won't stick together. They absolutely repel each other. But this particular law of attraction, they're talking about like attracts like, as if a receptor site on a cell and an enzyme. Right. When you have a corresponding, again, when you have the corresponding energetic, right, of an enzyme to a receptor cell on a site of a cell, it will absolutely be attracted to that receptor site and click in, because like attracts like. You have a receptor cell, you have a receptor site on a cell for dopamine, and you have the enzyme in the chemical, and it will absolutely attract to it, and it will dock, and it'll discharge its contents, right? So that's what we're talking about, the law of attraction, is that things will, at the same vibrational frequency, seek each other out, find each other, adhere to each other, and join together. So the more positive we become, the more positive we attract. The higher frequency we vibrate out, the higher frequency of things we attract into our life. The opposite is also true. The more pessimistic we are, the more down, the more despondent, the more Murphy's Law, right? Oh my God, if everything's going to go wrong, it goes wrong for me. The more we attract that particular vibrational energy into our experience. So living the law of attraction, putting it into use in your life, means keeping our energetic up, keeping our positive energies, the ones that we're sending out. The white birds, remember the white birds. We want to continue to send those out. And I know all of us are already using the law of attraction. I mean, you can't not be using it. You're using it your whole life. You may not have been using it consciously, but now you have the opportunity to do that. So what comes after the law of attraction, right? What comes after that one is the law of inspired action. This is the one Ernest Holmes said, this is the move your feet law, isn't it? Inspired action, treat and move your feet. When Ernest Holmes said treat, spiritual mind treatment, he's talking affirmative prayer. So we do our affirmative prayer for our highest and best good, and then we move our feet, we do something with it. Right? You don't just sit there in your apartment and go, new job, new job, new job, but then not do anything. You put in an application. You fill out something online. You go on interviews. You make yourself available to your good. You put yourself in places where the manifestation can occur easily and effortlessly. Right? That's move your feet. That's the law of inspired action. But it has to be inspired. It's inspired by the law of attraction. It's inspired by the law of correspondence, by all of those other laws that you're adhering to, that are creating the highest and best good in your life, that is creating a situation where you're vibrating at a higher level, yes? And so then that law of inspired action takes over, and you're inspired to act at that higher level as well. So that's the move your feet part of this whole divine creative process. And then you have the law of perpetual transmutation of energy. This, again, goes back to what I was talking about, that everything around us is in a constant state of flux. Everything around us is coming and going, all at the same time. It's true. Things are coming and going. Spirit is inhabiting form and abandoning form all the time. We don't see it at the atomic level. We don't see it at the molecular level, but things around us are changing all the time. Things in the physical world are changing all the time. So it is up to us to be conscious of that, to know and to go with it, right? And to direct our manifestations, to direct the energy toward the things we want and not the things we don't want. And then, of course, there's the law of cause and effect. That what you send out, you get back. That the energy that we're in is the energy that goes out. I mean, it's just, yeah, that one. Okay, and then you have the law of compensation. Now, Emerson loved this one, and I think he wrote a whole essay on it, right? What you receive what you put out. The law of compensation states that you will receive what you put out. Very similar to the law of attraction, but with a focus is on a different, it's subtly different. And the law of compensation is that an equal, equality is met. A balance is struck. But with the law of compensation, what comes back to you may not be in the form that you sent out, right? I mean, so think about, a large amount of money or something like that, or you give a large amount of money to something, but so you expect a large amount of money to come back to you, but in the law of compensation, it may not come back in the form of money. That's what we're talking about. May come back in the form of service, right? Someone serves you, someone creates something for you, someone does something wonderful for you, someone invites you someplace that has been your heart's desire. The law of compensation states, yes, a balance is always struck, that you receive what you put out, but it may be in a form that you haven't expected or you just weren't thinking about. So yes, you do reap what you sow, but the law reminds us to be careful, right? To be careful of how we send things out and what things we send out, because we are always compensated for what we do, for positive or for negative. Ralph Waldo Emerson said this. He said, "It is one of the beautiful compensations in this life that no one can sincerely try to help another without helping himself." And that really sums up the law of compensation. So those are the top 8. Those are my favorites anyway. I know there's way more than that. The book, The Gentle Art of Blessing, mentions a few of them and goes in detail. So you might want to, if you haven't gotten the book already or Kindled it, you might want to and read all about it, because these are the spiritual laws that he uses as a basis for why we must resonate with blessing only. Just forget about cursing. Just forget about judging. Don't even look over there anymore. We've grown beyond that. We've grown beyond eye for an eye. We must resonate in blessing only. And these spiritual laws gives us a great understanding as to why that is. Let me tell you what Ernest Holmes said in Creative Law and Success. He said, "Law is not a physical or material, but it is mental and spiritual. Law is God's method of operation. We should think of God as the great spirit whose sole impulse is love, freely giving of itself to all who ask and refusing none." Isn't that lovely? And refusing none. So that's the law. That's the law that gets it all done. That's the law, the way it works, as Ernest Holmes said. And those are like I said, my 8 most popular spiritual laws, but there's plenty more. Go read them, research them for yourself. Get that book and really experiment with the gentle art of blessing, knowing that it is these spiritual laws that make it possible. Let's pray out. I give great thanks for all of the good there is. There is all good in the universe. It is all God. It is all good, and I absolutely celebrate this. I am in such joy knowing the goodness of God surrounds me, presses itself up against me, expresses itself through me and as me in the world. I know I am the source of good in my world, and I know what is true for me is true for each and every one of us. That we are the source of good in our world as we open up to that divine good of God flowing through us freely. We become that clear vessel. We become that open channel for the good of God to flow through us easily and effortlessly, changing conditions around us, creating a life of love, creating a life of joy, of freedom, of peace. Giving great thanks for this, I let it be, and so it is. Wonderful, wonderful being with you today. Have a great rest of the day. Don't forget to come back tomorrow, Saturday at 1 p.m. for another installment of the Uplift with Vision. From my heart to yours, we know there's no separation. There is only the one of us. There is only one. There is only Spirit as. And so giving great thanks. We just let it be. So see you next time. Bye-bye.